People spend enormous effort hiding a browser fingerprint and then get caught by something completely different, the fact that their browser is obviously being driven by a script. Fingerprinting is only one layer of how sites tell humans from automation. And if you only think about fingerprints, you are defending one wall of a building with four sides. Today, I want to walk through, defensively and third person, how websites actually detect automation and bots, so you understand the whole picture instead of one corner of it. Quick note on framing: I run real proxy and cloud phone farms, and understanding detection is the job, because you cannot build a believable setup without knowing what makes an unbelievable one. I am going to keep this defensive and explanatory, how detection works and how it is defended against, not a step-by-step for slipping past any specific site, and no undetectable promises. Understanding detection reduces mistakes, it does not make anything invisible. The automation flag. Start with the most basic tell, because it is embarrassingly common. When a browser is driven by an automation framework, it often exposes a property that literally announces it, a WebDrive flag the browser sets when it is under external control. A site can read that in one line. Plenty of scraped setups get caught here before any clever detection even runs, because the browser is politely raising its hand and saying it is automated. The first thing serious tools do is make sure that flag is not sitting there in plain sight. Headless browser tells. A lot of automation runs headless, meaning the browser has no visible window, and headless browsers historically carried a pile of giveaways. A user agent string that named a headless build, a missing or unusual set of plugins, window and screen dimensions that did not match a real display. No real rendering surface. Detection learned all of these, so a headless browser that has not been carefully disguised stands out immediately. This is why so much automation now runs in a full, headful browser, precisely to shed the headless signals. Framework artifacts. Automation frameworks leave fingerprints of their own inside the page environment. Certain global variables, properties, and objects get injected when a popular automation library attaches to a browser, and detection scripts know exactly what to look for. It is like a tool leaving its serial number on everything it touches. Even when the WebDrive flag is handled, these leftover artifacts can betray that a framework is present, so a careful setup has to clean up after the framework, not just flip the one obvious switch. The connection layer tell. Detection does not stop at what runs inside the page. The way an automation library negotiates its encrypted connection can differ from how a real browser does it, producing a recognizable signature at the network handshake level. Automated clients and real browsers can be told apart by this handshake pattern before a single line of page code runs. This is why some setups that look perfect inside the browser still get flagged. The giveaway happened at the connection layer, underneath everything the fingerprint controls. Request patterns and rates. Behavior at the request level is one of the oldest and most reliable tells. A human browses in bursts, pauses, wanders, and generates a messy pattern of requests. A script often marches through pages at a steady, inhuman rhythm, faster and more regular than any person, hammering an endpoint at a constant rate, pulling pages in perfect order, or never pausing to read. All of it reads as mechanical. This is why rate limiting and polite pacing matter, not just for staying under limits, but because the rhythm itself is a signal. Subbehavioral signals. Beyond timing, sites increasingly read how the visitor behaves physically. Real users move a mouse in curved imperfect paths, scroll unevenly, hesitate, misclick, and type with natural variance. Automation that clicks instantly at exact coordinates, scrolls in perfect increments, or fills forms with inhuman speed looks nothing like a person. These behavioral signals live entirely outside the fingerprint and the proxy, in a third category all their own, and a technically perfect setup that behaves like a robot still gets caught on this axis alone. Honeypots and invisible traps. Some detection is set as bait. A page can include a form field that is invisible to a human but present in the code, so a real user never fills it, and an automated script that fills every field walks straight into the trap. Links no human would click. Hidden inputs and decoy elements all work the same way. They catch automation that interacts with things a person could not even see. These traps cost the site almost nothing and quietly separate scripts from people without any fingerprinting at all. Consistency and contradiction checks. A huge amount of modern detection is just looking for contradictions, the same theme that runs through this whole channel. Does the time zones match the IP geography? Does the canvas agree with the reported GPU? Does the user agent match the actual browser behavior? Does a fingerprint claim mobile while the connection looks like a desktop in a data center? The detection systems stack these checks and score the disagreements because a real visitor is consistent across all of them and a hastily assembled fake is not. Contradiction is the signal over and over. Challenge pages. When a site is unsure, it does not always block, it tests. A challenge page, a captcha, a puzzle, or an invisible JavaScript challenge that a real browser can solve automatically is a way of raising the cost for automations. Real browsers pass many of these transparently, while poorly disguised automation stumbles or fails. The challenge is not always about stopping you outright. It is about separating the setups that behave like real browsers from the ones that only look like them at a glance. In practice, big sites rarely roll their own. They buy specialized anti-bot services that combine all of the above into one layered system. These services watch the connection handshake, the browser environment, the behavior, and the request pattern together, scoring the visitor continuously rather than making one pass or fail decision. Because they layer many weak signals into one strong judgment, defeating any single check does not help much if the others still disagree. The whole point of the layering is that no one trick is enough. Headful, real, and slow. Put the defensive picture together and a pattern emerges. The setups that survive tend to run full headful browsers, clean up framework artifacts, pace themselves like humans, behave with natural variance, and above all keep every signal consistent with every other. They look at every layer like an ordinary person on an ordinary connection doing an ordinary thing at a human speed. That is the honest shape of what holds up. And it is a lot less glamorous than the word indetectable that gets thrown around. The takeaway is that a fingerprint is necessary, but nowhere near sufficient. You can have a flawless canvas and a clean proxy and still get caught by the automation flag, a framework artifact, an inhuman rhythm, or a honeypot. Defending only the fingerprint is defending one wall. The operators who actually last think about all the layers at once, and they accept that the goal is consistency and ordinariness across every signal, not a magic setting that turns any of it off. Fingerprint rarity as a signal within the fingerprint layer itself. Detection reads more than consistency, it reads rarity. A fingerprint that is wildly unusual, a bizarre screen resolution, an impossible font combination, a GPU string no real device reports, stands out precisely because it is rare. Real users cluster around common configurations, so a profile trying so hard to be unique that it becomes one of a kind has defeated the purpose, because uniqueness is trackable and, when it is implausible, suspicious. The goal on the fingerprint layer is to look common and ordinary, not special, and detection rewards the boring, believable configuration over the exotic one. Session and cookie consistency. Detection also watches whether a session hangs together over time. A real user accumulates cookies, keeps a consistent set of preferences, and returns with a history that makes sense. A freshly minted profile with no history, or one whose stored data contradicts its claimed activity, reads as assembled rather than lived in. Jumping from a spotless brand new environment straight into the behavior of an established account is its own contradictions. So the continuity of a session, its cookies, its history, its returning pattern, is another axis detection scores, separate from the fingerprint and the connection entirely. IP reputation as a detection input. The network side feeds detection directly, not just the fingerprint side. An IP address carries a reputation, a history of abuse reports, prior bans, and whether it belongs to a hosting or known proxy range, and detection systems score that before the page even fully loads. A visitor arriving from an address with a bad history starts at a disadvantage no browser setting can undo. This is why the proxy is half the identity. Its reputation is an input to the same detection model that reads your fingerprint and behavior, and a tainted address contradicts an otherwise clean visitor. Signals on mobile devices. Mobile adds its own detection surface worth knowing about. Phones expose sensor data, touch behavior, screen characteristics, and app-level signals that desktops do not, and detection on mobile reads these too. A profile claiming to be a phone that never produces the sensor and touch patterns a real phone would is inconsistent in a mobile-specific way. This is part of why believable mobile emulation is harder than desktop. There are more device-specific signals to keep consistent, and a mismatch between the claimed device and the expected mobile behavior is just another contradiction for the model to catch. It is a score, not a verdict. Here is a mental shift that clarifies everything. Detection is rarely a single yes or no gate. It is a continuous score built from many weak signals added together. No one signal usually decides your fate. The accumulation does. A slightly unusual fingerprint, a somewhat mechanical rhythm, a mildly aged proxy, non-fatal alone, can sum into a score that trips a challenge or a block. This is why chasing one perfect setting is the wrong model, and why consistency across every axis matters. You are lowering a total score, not flipping a single switch. Undetectable is the wrong word. All of this is why the word undetectable, which the marketing loves, is the wrong goal, and honestly a red flag. Detection is a layered, adaptive scoring system that keeps evolving, so no setup makes you invisible to it. It only makes you look ordinary enough to score below the threshold that triggers action. Today, that is a real and worthwhile goal, but it is not invisibility, and it is not permanent. Anyone selling undetectable is selling a fantasy version of a system that does not work that way. The honest aim is to be consistent, ordinary, and unremarkable across every layer at once. So websites detect automation with far more than fingerprinting. They read the automation flags, the framework leftovers, the connection handshake, the request rhythm, the physical behavior, the honeypots, and above all the contradictions between signals. Understanding that whole stack is what keeps you from over-investing in one layer and ignoring the rest. Which browsers handle the fingerprint layer honestly, and where the other layers are still up to you, is written up and tested hands-on at antidetectbrowser.org. No undetectable promises anywhere. If this widened the picture for you, subscribe, because next up I am taking an honest look at Dolphin NT for media buyers. See you in the next one.